Have you ever wondered which were the most expensive cars America produced in the 1980s? That decade was pure excess, an age of overflowing luxury and machines that looked like something out of a dream. Today, we're traveling back to that golden era to uncover the 10 most expensive American cars of the 1980s, true icons of design, power, and innovation. We'll talk about cars that didn't just define a generation, but redefined what luxury on wheels really meant. Get ready to meet models that cost more than an average house. Before we start the engine, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel to keep discovering forgotten gems and timeless legends that still make our hearts race. Now sit back, because what you're about to see are true masterpieces. 1983, Buick Riviera. In a time when the United States was trying to reclaim its automotive pride after the difficult 1970s, the Riviera emerged as a symbol of renewal. Its silhouette was elegant, refined, and fluid. But what really made people stop and stare wasn't just its exterior, it was the interior. Sitting behind the wheel felt like stepping into a spaceship straight out of an 80s sci-fi movie. The fully digital dashboard glowed in green light, making any technology lover's pulse quicken. But the Riviera wasn't just about style. Under the hood, it hit a 5.0-liter V8 engine that delivered power with the silky smoothness only Buick could achieve. It was a car made for the open road, for devouring miles with grace, surrounded by the velvet-trimmed comfort of its seats and the serene silence of its superb sound insulation. Many said driving a Riviera was like floating down the highway, an experience that stayed etched in your memory. One fascinating detail about this model is that it was one of the first American cars to feature such an advanced electronic interface, practically unheard of at the time. Some buyers even complained that the system was too modern, a phrase that sounds almost funny today, but that bold leap into the future is exactly what makes the Riviera so special. It represents an era when the American auto industry dared to experiment, to dream of tomorrow without fear of failure. It was, without question, one of the finest expressions of American luxury in the early 1980s. At the time, it cost around $25,000, a substantial amount for an American luxury coupe. Adjusted for inflation, that's roughly $75,000 today, a worthy investment for a car that embodied the cutting edge of its era. Today, depending on its condition, a 1983 Riviera can be found in collector markets for anywhere between $12,000 and $25,000, a true bargain considering its history and rarity. 1983, Lincoln Continental Mark VI. In the early 1980s, as the American automotive industry struggled to adapt to a more efficient, technology-driven future, the Continental Mark VI stood tall as the last guardian of classic American luxury. It was a car that refused to surrender to minimalist modernity. Its squared silhouette, gleaming chrome, and imposing grille evoked a time when prestige was measured in size and presence. It wasn't just transportation, it was a declaration. American luxury was still alive, and Lincoln was its standard bearer. Open the door, and time seemed to stop. The cabin was wrapped in thick velvet upholstery, adorned with genuine wood trim, and enveloped in a silence that exuded authority. Every detail spoke of elegance and power. Under the hood, the 5.0-liter V8 delivered serene strength, built more for gliding than for racing. Driving it felt like the road itself melted away beneath a cloud of smoothness. It wasn't about speed, but about savoring the journey. The Mark VI invited you to travel unhurriedly, to enjoy the road with the confidence of someone behind the wheel of something extraordinary. But this Lincoln wasn't merely living in the past. It was one of the first American cars to feature keyless entry through a digital keypad, an innovation that in 1983 felt like something out of a futuristic movie. It also boasted a fully electronic instrument panel, a nod to the coming age in a decade still dominated by analog gauges. Lincoln proved that luxury could evolve without losing its soul. It was a car that blended tradition and modernity, with an elegance no European brand could quite match. When it was launched, the Mark VI cost $26,000, roughly $78,000 in today's money. In the collector market, you can now find one between $10,000 and $20,000, depending on condition. That price doesn't reflect its true historical worth. It was the last Lincoln to preserve intact the soul of the great American luxury cars. Seeing one today is witnessing a piece of history, a machine that radiates elegance, power, and the unmistakable spirit of a nation that once turned luxury into art. 1985 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz. In the mid-1980s, when excess was a language and shine was an aspiration, the Eldorado Biarritz emerged as the emblem of American glamour. It didn't settle for being admired, it wanted to dazzle. Its long, low silhouette, the mirror-like chrome accents, and the vinyl-covered roof adorned with Biarritz crests created a rolling spectacle. The straight lines, vertical taillights, and wire-style wheels announced its arrival from afar. In front of hotel entrances and private clubs, this Cadillac said everything without uttering a word. It was the aesthetic of success turned automobile, a perfect postcard of the decade. Behind that elegance lay a story that justified every detail. The Biarritz name had for decades distinguished the most opulent Eldorado versions, and in 1985 it carried that lineage with pride. Its front-wheel drive architecture allowed for a nearly flat floor and more usable interior space, ideal for comfort. The body retained its stately proportions just before the model's 1986 redesign, which made it smaller and more restrained. Among its refinements, the automatic rear leveling system kept the car perfectly balanced, no matter the load. There was even a Biarritz Classic Edition, featuring two-tone paint and exclusive trim, highly coveted by collectors today. And while its V8 prioritized smoothness over aggression, the note from its exhaust was the perfect soundtrack for a nighttime cruise down a boulevard. The Biarritz wasn't just a car. It was Cadillac's manifesto on how luxury should feel, not how it should measure. In 1985, the Eldorado Biarritz carried a price tag of $29,000, equivalent to roughly $80,000 to $85,000 today. On the current collector market, a well-preserved example ranges from $15,000 to $30,000, with pristine, low-mileage units commanding even higher prices. So, among these three titans of American luxury for under $30,000, which one would you have chosen in those golden years? Tell me in the comments. 1982, Pontiac Firebird Trans Am. There was something about the 1980s that makes it impossible not to look back with a smile. An era of neon lights, electric guitars, and TV heroes who saved the day driving cars that seemed to have a soul of their own. Among them, one shined brighter than all the rest. It wasn't just a car. It was a cultural statement. Its presence dominated both the screen and the streets, and thanks to a TV series called Knight Rider, it became forever etched into pop culture as the most charismatic car of its decade. The Trans Am was power, style, and a promise of adventure. Just seeing it was enough to spark the imagination of an entire generation that grew up dreaming of having one in their garage. Its design was pure attitude. The long, muscular hood, the retractable headlights, and the iconic black stripe across the grille made it look like an urban predator. Every angle screamed speed, even at rest. Inside, the cockpit felt like a fighter jet. Digital gauges, wraparound controls, and seats that hugged you tightly. It was built for the driver, not the passenger. The 5.0-liter V8, while more restrained than the muscle monsters of the 1970s, still delivered power in a way that stirred the soul. Its raspy, metallic growl was enough to give you goosebumps. The Trans Am didn't need to be the fastest. It just needed to be the most desired. What's fascinating is that Pontiac designed this model at a critical moment, when the company had to reinvent itself amid the oil crisis and the rise of European sports cars. Instead of giving up, Pontiac doubled down on aerodynamics, technology, and emotion. Its lightweight, sleek body brought newfound efficiency, while the optional T-top roof added that unmistakable touch of Californian freedom. Every line told a story of defiance, reinvention, and American pride. The 1982 Trans Am wasn't just a car, it was a symbol of an industry that refused to fade away. When it launched, it cost around $30,000, equivalent to about $85,000 today. On the collector market, a well-kept example ranges from $18,000 to $40,000, though versions identical to the TV Hero kit can easily sell for much more. 1980 Chevrolet Camaro Z28. The previous decade had been tough for speed enthusiasts. Environmental regulations, oil crises, and a shift toward efficiency had dimmed the glory days of wild engines. But then came the Z28 to reignite the flame. It was Chevrolet's answer to those who refused to let go of the V8's roar, a car that balanced strength, design, and personality with magnetic charm. Watching it go by was witnessing the enduring spirit of America on wheels. Its appearance was pure muscle. The hood scoop, racing stripes stretching across the body, and five-spoke wheels gave it a commanding, almost defiant presence. The Z28 wasn't made to be subtle. It was built to be seen and heard. Its 5.7-liter V8, producing around 190 horsepower, wasn't as ferocious as its 1970s predecessors, but it struck an ideal balance between power and control. On the open highway, its deep, throaty exhaust note was hypnotic. Many owners said the Camaro wasn't just driven, it was felt. Each gear shift delivered that mechanical vibration that connected directly to the driver's heart. Inside, the cabin mixed sportiness and comfort. The wraparound dashboard, aggressive analog gauges, and supportive bucket seats made it feel like a true race car tamed for the streets. Chevrolet had managed to keep the muscle car spirit alive while introducing handling and stability improvements that made it more civilized. Despite changing times, the Z28 preserved that rebellious soul that made it a legend. It was the car for dreamers, for those who still believed that the open road was a place of freedom. When it hit the market, the Camaro Z28 cost around $31,000, roughly $88,000 today. On today's collector market, values range from $20,000 to $40,000 depending on condition and originality. 1981 Chrysler Imperial. In 1981, as the American automotive industry sought to reinvent itself after a turbulent decade, the Chrysler Imperial returned as a jewel reserved for a select few. This wasn't a car built for the masses. It was designed for those who demanded distinction and sophistication. Chrysler revived a legendary name that, since the 1950s, had been synonymous with prestige. The new Imperial carried that aristocratic air, but infused it with modern technology and overflowing elegance. At a time when most manufacturers were downsizing and simplifying, Chrysler went against the tide. It created a car that was more of a statement than a product. Its presence was commanding. Straight, formal lines gave it a regal air, while hidden headlights added a sense of mystery and refinement. The long hood, chrome grille, and crystal emblem crowning the front recalled the opulence of a bygone era. Every detail spoke of craftsmanship and exclusivity. But it was when you opened the door that the Imperial revealed its true character. The interior was upholstered in Mark Cross leather, a luxurious British brand chosen for its softness and unmistakable aroma. Every button and control was crafted with watchmaker-like precision, and the digital instrument cluster, yes, digital in 1981, glowed with a futuristic blue light. Everything inside seemed built more to be admired than merely used. Under the hood, the Imperial featured a refined yet powerful 5.2-liter 5.8, paired with an ultra-smooth automatic transmission. It was also among the first cars to include an electronic fuel injection system, an innovation ahead of its time, though initially so advanced that many mechanics didn't know how to repair it. When it debuted, the Chrysler Imperial cost $31,300, around $90,000 in today's dollars. Today, depending on its condition and originality, it can be found on the collector market for $12,000 to $25,000. Its monetary value may have dropped, but its historical importance and rarity have only grown. 1985, Cadillac Seville Elegant. This was a car that didn't ask for attention, it commanded it. Sophisticated, balanced, and refined, the Seville Elegant embodied Cadillac's new philosophy to offer luxury and technology in a more compact, agile package without losing the proud American character that defined the brand for decades. The Seville wasn't just another Cadillac. It was the Cadillac for executives who valued distinction, precision, and absolute comfort. Its design took cues from European sedans with tighter proportions and a unique bustle-back rear end, its most controversial and captivating feature. Some loved it, others hated it, but no one ignored it. Every exterior detail was crafted to project status. The upright chrome grille, the precisely aligned rectangular headlights, and the trim that caught the light like a jewel. Inside, the Seville Elegant lived up to its name. Soft leather seats, real wood accents, and premium materials transformed the cabin into a rolling executive suite. Everything was designed for comfort: automatic climate control, power adjustments, and acoustic insulation that turned silence itself into a luxury. Technically, the Seville Elegant paired a smooth 4.1-liter V8 engine with front-wheel drive, an advanced setup for a Cadillac at that time. It was more efficient, more stable, and provided a refined driving experience ideal for long highway trips. Cadillac envisioned it as America's answer to the Mercedes-Benz S-Class and BMW 7 Series, but with a uniquely soulful twist that Europeans couldn't replicate. Driving it wasn't just about moving elegantly, it was about reaffirming an identity, the identity of American luxury, reimagined with cosmopolitan flair. When it launched, the Seville Elegant cost $33,000, about $93,000 today. On today's collector market, it ranges from $14,000 to $28,000, with pristine, low-mileage examples often exceeding that at auctions. So among these three icons of American luxury hovering around the $30,000 mark, which one would you have chosen to rule the roads of the 1980s? Let me know in the comments. 1989, Chevrolet Corvette ZR1. By the late 1980s, when the automotive world seemed to bow before the supremacy of European supercars, the Corvette roared back, a thunderclap of American pride. It was General Motors' bold answer to a question many thought settled: could the United States build a sports car capable of standing toe-to-toe with Ferrari or Porsche? The ZR1 didn't just answer, it roared yes. With groundbreaking engineering, a menacing design, and a mechanical heart that redefined the meaning of power, it proved that American muscle could be as precise and sophisticated as anything from across the Atlantic. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary Corvette, but only to the untrained eye. Its shape was clean, aerodynamic, and purposeful, yet beneath its fiberglass skin lay an entirely different beast. Wider rear tires, a reinforced chassis, and subtle details, like the discreet ZR1 badge on the tail, were enough for insiders to recognize greatness. Turn the key, and the all-aluminum 5.7-liter LT5 V8, developed in collaboration with Lotus, came alive with a metallic snarl that defied physics. With 375 horsepower and a top speed exceeding 280 kilometers per hour, it became the fastest Corvette ever built at the time. But the ZR1 wasn't just brute force, it was rolling technology, adjustable active suspension, a 6-speed manual gearbox, and state-of-the-art electronics made it a mobile laboratory. Journalists dubbed it the King of the Hill for a reason. It dominated every performance test thrown at it. Chevrolet hadn't simply built a car, it had forged a legend. When new, the ZR1 carried a $60,000 price tag, about $150,000 today, placing it well above the base Corvette and most domestic rivals. Today, depending on mileage and condition, it trades between $35,000 and $70,000, with early production models commanding even higher auction prices. 1989 Vector W8. As the 1980s drew to a close, with the automotive elite ruled by Italian elegance and German engineering, America decided to launch its own challenge to the gods of speed, the Vector W8. It was a car so extreme that many doubted it could exist outside of fantasy, but it did, and it became the ultimate American supercar. Conceived not in the boardrooms of a corporate giant, but in the mind of one visionary engineer, Gerald Wiegert, the Vector was his obsession to build the fastest, most powerful, most advanced car on Earth. His goal wasn't to compete with Ferrari or Lamborghini, but to surpass them. And for one brief, blazing moment, he did. Its design looked like it had escaped from a science fiction film. Beneath the angular aluminum and carbon fiber body, with scissor doors and blade-sharp lines, lurked an aggression no other American car had ever shown. Every surface served an aerodynamic purpose. There was no room for decoration. Inside, it was equally futuristic. Digital displays, aircraft-style toggles, and a steering wheel that looked more spaceship than automobile. The W8 wasn't designed. It was engineered to shock. Nothing else on the road compared. It was the American dream distilled into metal. At its heart lay a twin-turbo 6.0-liter Viva 8 mounted mid-engine, producing 625 horsepower and a top speed beyond 350 kilometers per hour, numbers that seemed impossible for an American car in 1989. Its acceleration was so savage that it was said the rear tires could barely contain it. Wiegert's obsessive craftsmanship meant every component, from brakes to gearbox, was built to withstand those extremes. But perfection came at a price. Each car was almost hand-built, customized for its buyer, and production was painfully slow. Only about 17 units were ever made. When it launched, the Vector W8 cost an astronomical $450,000, over $1.2 million today, making it the most expensive American-built car of its time. On today's collector market, its value ranges from $800,000 to $1.5 million, depending on provenance and condition. And so, we reach the end of our journey through the decade of excess. Chrome, synth, and thunderous engines that echoed the spirit of Detroit. The 1980s were an age where luxury met audacity, and these machines proved that America could create cars as exclusive as they were exhilarating. From Cadillac's refinement to the technological madness of the Vector W8, each of these icons left a mark that still gleams in automotive history. Now it's your turn. If you could own one of these titans of American engineering, which would it be? The sophisticated power of the Corvette ZR1, the timeless elegance of the Imperial, or the pure insanity of the Vector W8? Tell me in the comments. And don't leave just yet. If you love the 1980s, you'll be amazed by our previous episode, The Most Expensive American Cars of the 1970s, a lineup filled with elegance, muscle, and pure history. Click now and continue this unforgettable journey through the decades that defined the true soul of the American classic. See you there.